Officer worker by day, science fiction and horror writer by night, Lee Mitchell reaches out through their stories to generate new approaches to old questions about the human condition. Their work reflects a dichotomy of darkness and hope, such as the world we live in, exploring good and evil through their love of the written word. Their worldview might seem a little different to most. Lee believes in magic and marvels and miracles, but no one can deny the wonder they leave in their wake. So I'm going to be filling in for Lee. She's not going to be reading, but she is here with us in the chat. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat. And before I start reading, so that I don't forget, I am going to put the Amazon link in. It's coming up right now for her book. I'm reading an excerpt from The Lasting Light by Lee Mitchell. The Lasting Light is the second book in the Divine Darkness trilogy. In the distance, just within view, a fire cut through the dark horizon. Is that the ranch? Aurora knelt close to a massive rooted cluster of tumbleweed. I'm going to go check it out. You two stay right here. I'll be back. Jacob shot into the air, sending sandy gusts in his wings' powerful wake. Aurora sprinted toward the burning ranch. Sam rushed in to stop her. He just told us to wait here. But what if someone you know needs help? Both our moms are in there. The boy went quiet for a few seconds, the concern etching itself deeper across his face with each passing moment. Fine, but we don't do anything dangerous, and you follow my lead. Fine. Aurora hurried off, staying low and moving between patches of foliage. Sam ran to catch up. The two stopped and knelt by another mound of tumbleweed a few yards outside the perimeter, and Aurora felt heavy pangs of panic in her chest when she saw the flames so close. All the houses were engulfed, and there were no signs of family, save the defending guardians. Winged fighters battled the invading beings overhead. Sparks lit the darkening sky like fireworks as swords and daggers clashed against maces and morning stars. Jacob and Kristen, the camp's vampiric, demon-eating night protectors, were in the air as well, tearing through the enemy's front line. Blood showered down before a demon man dropped to the ground only feet away from where Aurora and Sam huddled. Black blood gushed from the creature's neck. He was still alive, but he seemed unable to pull himself upright. He attempted to claw himself from the scene with desperate arms, dragging his legs behind him. Red, membranous wings thrashed wildly against the earth, kicking up plumes of sand and dirt, but the effort didn't afford the demon nearly enough lift, leaving him flailing along the ground. Kristen dive-bombed into the injured creature, which screamed at the sight of the blood-soaked predator. She snatched him into her arms before rushing back into the air with a thrust of her feathery black wings. Aurora scanned the surrounding area, searching for signs of life, while her mind struggled to process the chaos. "What's happening? How did they find us?" Sam cried. "Where's my mom?" "I don't know." Aurora struggled to breathe as the reality of the situation fully hit. "Where's mine?" Could they be in with the fires? Aurora fought to hold her composure. "I think I might need to shatter all this." The boy shook his head. "But what if you don't come back this time?" "Promise me you'll get help." "But you can't. They're all dead, Sam." "Wait until it's safe and then get me inside." Sam gave her a reluctant nod. "Just promise me you'll come back." A lump caught itself in Aurora's throat as she nodded back. She felt the air around her begin to buzz, and she stood fully upright despite the threat swooping down from above. She winced, her jaw going tight as a symphony of screeches tore through the air. Time halted for a heartbeat right before the fabric of space shattered, and the old reality came raining down in jagged, dissipating shards. Aurora watched the restored landscape take hold while her mind slipped off and her limbs went limp. She heard Sam call out for help, just as her consciousness slid off into the other place. She steadied her breath, fighting the panic that always came when she first sent herself to the confused void. It hosted every nightmare she'd ever erased, playing each in a loop composed of eternal specters that reflected that which might have been. Aurora had no choice but to walk through each of them, over and over, until her mind finally recovered from the strain of her latest effort. She watched as the fire once again consumed her mother and other loved ones as death and blood rained down from the battle above. The shaken child reminded herself that she was in good hands. Sam was her best friend, and he would see to it that she was okay until she woke. Until then, all she could do was be patient, stay as calm as possible, and continue to remind herself that, at least where it mattered, her family was safe. Alicia Brown stared at the tiled kitchen counter, unsure of what she was doing in the room. Shadows of an alternate memory, one filled with demons and pain and fire, faded into the back of her mind, and she moved to the refrigerator to see if something in there might spark some recall. What had she been doing? She turned, noting her friend Meg, Sam's mother, sitting at the table. "I'm so sorry, what was I saying?" Meg, a pretty blonde with snowy white angel wings, stared back for a moment before she replied, "We were talking about the enemy attacks, I think." "Yes, that's right." Alicia looked down. "There's got to be more we can do to safeguard ourselves. What if we sent a convoy of our own, but on a mission of peace? Maybe we could find a way to show them that they're attacking us over a lie." "You can't reason with zealots, Meg. They're convinced we're all demons protecting the Antichrist. They don't even acknowledge that we're human beings anymore. How do you persuade someone to ignore their own eyes?" Meg shrugged. "Probably doesn't help our cause that we have vampires and werewolves protecting the property." "Probably not." "But if there is an Antichrist, they're probably the ones harboring it," Meg scoffed. "That they believe a virgin would give birth to the child of Satan is downright offensive." "They don't know I'm a virgin. They just know what they see." "Well, there's got to be some way of reasoning with them." Meg shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "I mean, we all learned to accept the truth. It was a tough pill to swallow, that no matter who you are, your enemy looks like a demon. But if we figured it out, there must be people on the other side who have too. If we could just find a way to reach them, maybe we could put all this senseless fighting to an end." "Help!" Sam's scream echoed from somewhere far off. Alicia and Meg both froze for a moment, the panic taking a moment to register. Then they both bolted for the door leading out. They paused at the sight of what appeared to be pieces of the sky falling to the ground and dissipating into little puffs of glitter. Alicia took to the air, cursing under her breath. Jacob flew ahead of her, seeming to know where he was going and needing no explanation for the glimmering shards of reality that continued to fall to the earth. "Do you remember what happened?" Alicia asked as soon as she caught up. "I think we were under attack." Jacob shook his head. "The whole place was on fire." A momentary recollection hit Alicia, and for an excruciating second, she could feel the zip ties binding her limbs, the acrid splash of gasoline dousing her body, and the searing flames eating her alive. "You okay?" Jacob asked. Alicia nodded, focusing on the current reality that, no doubt, Aurora had manifested. Her panic grew as she spotted Sam carrying the unconscious girl toward the gate. The 12-year-old boy handed Aurora over to Jacob, then doubled over to catch his breath. "She did it again," he huffed.